everybody, Trevor here, and it's time to once again ride the All Engines Go hate train. Except that it's not really a hate video this time. Today's topic will revolve around my top 5 picks for the best new Thomas characters in the All Engines Go reboot. I know I've talked about these new characters in the past before, but I feel like making a top 5 version here because I'm bored and I need more ad revenue. Not only will I explain why I like these All Engines Go exclusive characters, but I also want to explain how they could work well in the first 24 seasons, as well as in the cancelled season 25, which I've already made a video on. Now without wasting any more time, let's begin this brand new top 5, shall we? Coming at number 5 are Fona and Frederico. These two electric engines originated from Spain and were very rude to Kana during the race for the Sora Cup, while Diesel was a big fan of them during that special. Even though they're both freelance designs, but I love the fact that they're from the country of Spain, which does explain why these two deserve the number 5 spot. If I want them to appear in the CGI series, then I think they should keep their adult voices from the show, and maybe they can have another story arc where they learn to be nice to Kana and her friends. So overall, Fona and Frederico are pretty interesting new engines, even for freelance design standards. I also thought they were decent antagonists, but not as memorable as Vinny from The Great Race, who is a much cooler villain in my opinion. Number 4 is Tess. Tess is a green crane who works at Kelsthorpe Wharf, which is a location only exclusive to the reboot's version of the Sora Island map. Honestly, when I first saw her in a teaser trailer for season 2, I was like, wow. They finally made a new crane character based on Carly's original CGI design. So, let me get this straight. You can't bring back the original Carly design from season 21, but you can copy her original tower crane form as an entirely different character in the reboot? Man, that just shows how lazy you are, Mattel. Anyways, Tess is also a troublesome and very impatient crane who doesn't like it when others are late and don't speed things up like she does. I guess you could nickname her Testy Tess instead of Tess the Best, lol. But in all seriousness, Tess deserves the number 4 spot because although she is a redesign of Carly from the original CGI series, I think her appearance in the original show could work if she were placed at a different part of the island instead of Kelsthorpe Wharf, because in the original map of Sodor, there is no wharf at Kelsthorpe Road, just a junction station that connects to the Kirk Ronan branch line. If I had it my way, I would place Tess either at Nafford Harbor or at the new harbor in the season 2 episode Thomas and Trevor, aka a new friend for Thomas in the US dub. I could also imagine her being a twin sister of Carly, but those are just my ideas for my own headcanon. Let me know what you guys think of it. So, in conclusion, despite being voiced by a child actress, Tess deserves the number 4 spot because she deserves credit for having interesting character traits and flaws. Imagine if she were voiced by Emma Tate, then that would be much better and cooler. Number 3, Sandy. What I like about Sandy is that she's based on an American railroad speeder, and I always love watching rail speeders in action. I wish I could ride a speeder someday. However, the reason she's number 3 is because my biggest gripe with her is that she has a robotic arm that comes out of her buffer beam. Not to mention that, like the other characters in the reboot, she can jump up and down like a cartoony character. Another reason she's number 3 is that if she were to appear in the original CGI series, then I think she should be the Misty Island equivalent of Winston and could work on Misty Island along with the logging locos. She could even get teased by Bash and Dash due to her very small size, as well as looking up to Ferdinand as a grandfatherly figure and mentor. I've also mentioned in the past that Ferdinand could even be the Misty Island's equivalent of Edward, who would keep Bash and Dash in order. How's that for an idea? As for her voice, I don't care whether she would be voiced by a child actress or an adult woman doing a little girl impression, just as long as her voice fits the character. While I normally prefer adult voice actors for each character, but since Sandy is young, it doesn't really matter in this case in my humble opinion. Coming at number 2 is Kana. Kana is a purple Japanese high-speed electric engine who was good friends with Kenji, who is also from the same country as hers. Speaking of which, did you know that Kana was originally going to be Kenji's younger sister before it was suddenly changed at the last minute? Yeah, I think it would have made more sense if Kenji and Kana were siblings. That's one reason why Kana is number two. The second reason is that if she were voiced by an adult, then I think she should sound like Megumi Bandicoot from Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, who is also a Japanese character with a Japanese accent. I especially enjoy Kana's determined personality, as well as the fact that she has her own purple coaches. Imagine if there was an original idea for an episode where Kana visits Sodor and temporarily joins the Peel Godred branch line along with the other electric engines on Sodor. Now that would be cool. Even though Kana is a freelance design like Fona and Frederico, but in terms of having potential to appear in the original Thomas TV series, I think she deserves the number two spot for these reasons alone, and that she could be a new character who would appear in the original season 25, which I've already covered in another video. Before I get to my number one pick, I just want to give a few honorable mentions. Ultra Train and Trainiac, as well as the other carriages of Justice. I think these characters could work in the original show if they were fictional characters in universe, just like Reptar from Rugrats. Riff and Jiff. The biggest reason they didn't make it is because their freelance designs are the gimmickiest. And personally, if I want to introduce these two characters in the original show, then I think they should drastically change them to look more down to earth. For example, I think they should look more like the Peel Godred engines from the Railway series or something, because at least we know what some of their bases are in the original lore. Reginald the Baker from Series 3. The biggest problem I have with these new human characters in All Legends Go is that they barely have any dialogue, and therefore aren't very interesting to begin with. Seriously, why does Sertoma have to be the only human to have the most dialogue so far? It's just so unfair. And my number one choice is obviously Brake Car Bruno. You knew this was coming, didn't you? Well, like the others on this list, I'm gonna try to keep it brief here. What I love about Bruno is that not only he's a little red American caboose, but he's also autistic, just like me and some of my other friends, whether on YouTube or in real life. Not to mention that the number 43 on his sides represents the year autism was identified, which I thought was a very nice touch by the team who worked on this show. I especially love the fact that Bruno is smart, detail oriented, and would often crack jokes every so often. Oh, and did you know that Bruno was originally going to look like this before being redesigned at the last minute? Yeah, I think his current design looks much better with the black rooftop and all that. However, despite being on the number one spot, my only gripe with him nowadays is that he wears earmuffs that are made of clouds and steam, which makes no sense whatsoever. And to be quite honest, I take back on what I've said about Bruno being an autistic stereotype. I think they should keep his autism whether in the reboot or in the original CGI series. Speaking of which, another big reason why he's number one is because I think he should totally make an official appearance in the CGI series, especially in the cancelled Series 25. I mean, think about it. He could mainly work for both Diesel and Sunny. Imagine all three of them are the best of friends, and maybe they could even take turns pulling Bruno on the Kildane branch line or some other part of the Northwestern Railway. And yes, I do have some ideas for potential Thomas stories, besides those that were already taken by other Thomas fans. Oh, and one more thing. If Bruno were voiced by an adult actor, then I think Billy West would make a perfect candidate for the US dub because from what I've researched on the internet, he has autism as well. And I think either his Doug Funny impression or Philip J. Fry voice from Futurama would fit Bruno's character perfectly, but that's just my opinion. Now let me know in the comment section below on which of these All Legends Go exclusive Thomas characters are your favorite. Do you agree with my list or do you have your own personal preference? And while I still hate the reboot with a Fleming passion, I can still understand and respect those who legitimately like it in the first place because, like all bad reboots, it does have plenty of positives, including the reprisals of Neil Crone, Eddie Glenn, and Rachel Miller. Heck, I can even say the same thing for Powerpuff Girls, Garfield, Bob the Builder, etc. Remember, almost every bad cartoon show has pros and cons. This is Trevor Davis signing off, and have a great day.